Wait a minute. There's something different. There's something not quite right. I can't put my finger on it, but something is off. I don't know what it is. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't I just wearing a black shirt? How did I go from wearing a black shirt to a red shirt? And another thing, it may be in my imagination, but I think my head is cut off over here. It is. Hey, where is it? Who cut off the top of my head? Ah! Who did this? And who changed my shirt? Okay, who's the wise student who changed the color of my shirt and cut off the top of my head? Was it you, Anna Cassiani? Or maybe it was Jackie Holter. I've had my eye on you. Nobody? Okay. Just for that, nobody gets an A in this class. So now what I want to do is I want to share my book of the day with you. Yep, I'm going to do that. Now, as usual, I want you to think of questions that could be asked before, during, and after the story. And this time, I'm going to have you pick what you think is the best question. And I want you to save that as part of ICA number 6. Yep, that's going to be the first part of number 6, including one question, a really good question that can be asked either before the book, during the book, or after the book. Now this book is entitled, I Dreamed I Was a Ballerina. A girlhood story by Anna Pavlova, illustrated with special art by Edgar Degas. Vivid are my earliest collections, which take me back to the time when I was living in a little apartment with my mother in the city. And this picture is entitled A View from St. Valley. All these illustrations are done by the artist Edgar Degas. I was the only child, and my father having died 2 years after my birth, we two were alone in the world. We were very poor indeed. And this is entitled A Woman Ironing. And yet, my mother would never fail to provide on special occasions a surprise for me, in the shape of some treat. I can still remember my enthusiasm when, on one birthday, I heard we were going to celebrate by going to a performance at the theater. And this is entitled The Milliner. A milliner is a hat salesperson. I had never yet been to the theater, and I plied my mother with questions in order to find out what kind of show it was that we were going to see. This is entitled 3 Dancers Preparing for Class. She replied by telling me the story of the Sleeping Beauty, a favorite of mine among all fairy tales, and one which she had already told me countless times. This one is entitled Dancer. When we started for the theater, I felt unspeakably happy beside my mother, her arm tenderly enclosing my waist. You are going to enter fairyland, she said, as we were being whirled across the darkness toward the theater, that mysterious unknown. And this one is called The Singer in Green. The music of Sleeping Beauty is by our great Tchaikovsky. As soon as the orchestra began to play, I became very grave and attentive, eagerly listening, moved for the first time in my life by the call of beauty. This one is entitled The Violinist. But when the curtain rose, displaying the golden hall of a wonderful palace, I could not withhold a shout of delight. This one's called Dancer on Stage. And I remember hiding my face in my hands when the old hag appeared on the stage in her car, driven by rats. In the second act, a swarm of youths and maidens appeared and danced a most delightful waltz. And this is called the ballet. "How would you like to dance thus?" asked my mother with a smile. "Oh," I replied, "I should prefer to dance as the pretty lady does who plays the part of the princess. One day I shall be the princess and dance upon the stage of this very theater." This one is called Dancers, Pink and Green. My mother muttered that I was her silly little dear and never suspected that I had just discovered the idea that was to guide me throughout my life. And this one is called Little Girl Practicing at the Bar. When we left the theater, I was living in a dream. During the journey home, I kept thinking of the day when I should make my first appearance on the stage in the part of Sleeping Beauty. This one is called Dancer in Green. That very night, I dreamed that I was a ballerina and spent my whole life dancing like a butterfly to the sounds of Tchaikovsky's lovely music. I love to remember that night. This is called The Rehearsal on Stage. And then the book gives a short biography on Anna Pavlova and Edgar Degas. Okay? So hopefully you've been thinking of questions that could be asked before, during, and after, just as you have during our class time. And please keep that one really good question in mind. And you'll be saving that for ICA number 6. And that's it. So I'm going to step out for a second while I figure out who did this and who the heck changed the color of my shirt.